Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here with the Win Your Worth podcast, and we have a special guest today, Bronwyn Evans from Macadam and Turnbull in Toowoomba. Welcome, Bronwyn. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Darren. Great to be with you.
Cool. So before we get into Bronwyn's story, and it's really going to help you to see that despite what you think, despite how many rivals are out there doing stupid discounts, or how much you think you can't put your fees up because your rivals hold you back with their fees, or because you think that if you go and increase your fees of new business, your owners will simply go elsewhere. Before I start blowing those mindsets, wrong mindsets, mind you, out of the water, I just want to talk a bit about Bronwyn and where she's from in Toowoomba, but of course, Toowoomba is in Queensland. For those people that are listening in overseas, Queensland is very much the Australia's answer to Florida. It is a place which is receiving extreme growth at the moment, particularly through COVID, where in Victoria there was a lot of lockdowns going on. A lot of people are upset with that, and a lot of them left during and after lockdowns and made their way to Queensland. So Queensland is an amazing place. It's certainly a playground for the rest of us Australians to have fun. But from a property management point of view, there is some unique things about Queensland, but particularly what I've found with Queensland, it has the worst fee structure or fees on the planet. All righty. Now, I'm certainly know it's the worst in Australia. Certainly New Zealand does better and the United States does better. So that's my comparison with my experience, but there's some key reasons why. Now, firstly, Queensland's very unique from a real estate point of view. There are 3 times more agents, probably per suburb or per square inch, or whatever way you want to measure it, than anywhere else in Australia. So there's a lot of agents, but a lot of little agents, and they're all competing with each other. But also there's a very strong mindset, particularly around what's the management fee for. Now, that's the mindset, believing the management fee needs to carry all or a bulk of the fees, and that is the main fee, not to be tampered with. That's what is managing the property, and there's a minimal amount of fees otherwise that are being charged. Now, it's important to note where this culture, it's a mindset culture, very, very strong. It's the strongest, I find the strongest resistance against extra fees is in Queensland, even more so in regional towns. So the agents there do really, property management is not profitable. And before Bronwyn increased her fees in this environment, I know that their fee revenue was very painful, hence why they reached out for some help. So understand also, again, what's behind this really tight fee resistant culture that's really strong is the government has regulated fees in Queensland the longest. Before they let go, before they deregulated it, that Queensland had these regulations in place the longest, and they were the last of the states to drop it. All righty. But what I do find, and for example, with the letting fee in New South Wales, Queensland, and New Zealand, they're all charging 1 week's rent letting fee. Like, says who? Well, they all say because it's the remnants of this legislation that's there, and no one's gone, well, hang on, there's no rule to say that we can't be charging more. And so a lot of their leasing or letting fees are locked in at that amount. So it's really important to understand why there's so much resistance against extra fees in Queensland. Alrighty. So Bronwyn, let's talk about you now in Toowoomba. What's the population of Toowoomba? Now, I think Toowoomba is about an hour and a half or an hour 20 minutes drive from Brisbane.
Yes, yeah, we're not far at all, about an hour and a half, and you're here. We've got a double lane highway all the way up to us. So
Yeah.
And there's about 120,000 people in the region of Toowoomba.
Okay. So it's not a town as such, it's a regional city, and a very strong word at that. And look, Toowoomba is just a jewel, you know, like a lot of other places and regional areas, it's a jewel. I love regional Australia, and Toowoomba is just a really good community of people. You may recall in 2010, correct me if I'm wrong, Bronwyn, but we saw these horrible images of a tsunami of water going down the main street that then rolled on down to Grantham and all the disaster that was caused there. Well, you know, that when we saw the Queensland floods, you know, it very much did start with the media in Toowoomba. Yes. And so, you know, that's certainly part of the history. It only makes country people stronger, of course. But Bronwyn, let's talk about the agents. Now, before you increased your fees, let's talk about, you know, BF, before fees, you know, before fees changed. All right, let's talk about the era of BF. And, you know, let's just talk about what was the market like from your eyes with fees and fee charging at that time before you changed?
Well, Darren, it was something that wasn't even discussed or thought about. It was just like, oh, well, that's just what fees are, and that's how it is. But it was also in that era, Darren, where property management departments didn't get the focus from that they deserved in the agency when you're comparing them to the sales department as well. So there was no talk of fees. There was this general assumption that, oh, well, that's just what the fees are. We don't change them. It's just how it is. So it really wasn't even a big focus at all from anyone. Yeah.
Now, I've done some figures on rent rolls, and whenever I get the opportunity to look at what the cost is to manage, my figures always seem to come out. Now, maybe they need to be revised after COVID, of course, with inflation, all of that, but my figures generally came out, the cost to manage every property per year in a staffed agency, typically like yours, my figures always came out at around about $1,500 a year. Now, Bronwyn, I've got permission to mention this stuff with you, but you guys are doing $1,345 in total fee income. So whenever, guys, I mention these sort of numbers, it's total fees, management fees, leasing fees, everything else, total fee income per property. You guys are doing $1,345. Now, surely that would have been hard for you to operate under those conditions.
Yes, it certainly was, Darren, and it relies then on the sales department to be essentially propping it up. So it when we started really looking at our numbers, Darren, and really knowing the business numbers and expenses, that's when you start to come to the realization that something has to change, when you're really drilling in to exact costs and what's going up and what's changing.
Yeah, okay. So what are you're a quality agent, all right? And to me, I would say, you know, without getting into the others, you guys are right up with their quality, all right? Quality being a property owner can come to you, give you their management. You guys are going to look after them. The bosses, yourself, your husband, Lachlan, as well, that you both are very well experienced in property management. You both are property management experts. You're not both involved in sales and neglecting property management. It's just a thing that you attach on the side. And there's a lot of businesses in Toowoomba that are like that. So with you guys being right up there at the quality end, what were your competitors like with their fees that you were aware of at that time?
They were a little bit varied, but mostly discounting, just thinking that you just pile numbers on to the rent roll and take on any business and any at any cost, at any fee that you needed to get the business on. And there's no future in running a business like that, Darren. There's no and whilst we don't interact with a lot of other agents, what we see is the experience of people who've come to us and said, Bronwyn, you've got to help me. This is what's happening at my current agency. This is the mess my property is in. That's where we get a lot of information from as to what people have been paying and what's been going on as a result with their property.
Yeah. So though you guys were at to me, a very financially painful $1,345 a year on average per property across the rent roll, I'm sure that a lot of your competitors were on even less. And as you said, they probably just see it as an add-on to their real estate sales business, and it just simply feeds leads in. They never actually thought, hang on, property management, what's going on here? That should be profitable. And they've always got this lock, well, no, what's the management fee for? And the problem, everyone, with this thinking the management fee covers so much, when your rivals start attacking that and start discounting and going from 7% down to 6%, or 6% down to 5%, or 5% down to 4%. Every time you go down a notch towards zero, you're actually dropping 12%. And then it could be, if you go another percent, well, that's another 15% of your entire management fee income. You go down another one, that could be 20%. Because of course, if you go from 2% down to 1%, that's a 50% drop. People, I know you listen to a podcast, you may not be thinking about the math, but the further you go down towards zero, the bigger chunk of your management fee goes out the window. And this is what's happening. So moving right along, okay, so what were your growth rates like at that time? Now, you may not have the numbers there, but what were your growth rates typically like in a month with new properties coming in?
Fairly steady, Darren. We would always have new clients walking through the door, and of course that was pre-COVID, when before owner occupiers were buying all their houses as well. So back in those days, we'd be increasing close to 10, 15 a month. But personally, I don't go really wildly hard trying to get too many on every month, because I worry about our service delivery to onboard them. So I'm always careful. So we were still like that back then. But yeah, the growth was there for us.
Okay, so there's a big myth I've got to bust right now, and we'll do it now, Bronwyn, is the people think if I put my fees up, then I'm going to get less new business because owners are simply going to go elsewhere because we're now more expensive. That's not true, everybody. I know it's not true, but Bronwyn, how did your growth rates, did your growth rates change when you increased your fees with new business?
No, Darren, it did not change at all due to the new business. Our growth rates reflected the real estate market in general and what was happening during COVID. But no, we're very detailed in the records we keep on our numbers and where they come from and all those things. And I cannot attribute the growth stayed the same. It has not changed as a result of fee increases at all.
So Bronwyn, people don't come to you, they didn't come to you then, they don't come to you now because of fees, it's because of trust and the need for trust, isn't it? Because they want peace of mind. They want to be able to sleep at night, and that didn't change because your service levels didn't change through that journey, did it?
That's correct, Darren. And we offer a quality service because we are on the side of investors. Like, I'm so passionate about our investors and being on their side. When it feels like no one else is on their side, they need us. I need to provide a quality service because it's the least that they deserve. They've worked so hard for this, hundreds of thousands of dollars of bricks and mortar. We've got to look after it. So I can't let our service delivery drop. So I can't play the game that others play, where you just keep piling so many properties onto a property manager that they burn out and they leave. It's like it's a whole package of things that happen when the discounters are trying to keep their doors open, and the effects. So I'm just so passionate about the quality properties management because it's what they all deserve, for sure.
Okay, so let's now talk about what happened. So yeah, I started working with your agency, and we did training around getting new fees, but also training around changing the fees of the current owners. But we're just talking about new fees today. And we did some mindset training. So I had to change what you believe to be true about yourself with your worth. We did a lot of worth training, because if you believe you're worth more, then you can earn more. Everybody, it's not, you don't get what you're worth. You actually only get what you believe that you're worth. Alrighty. So we've got to change what you believe to be true about what you are worth. And we did the work there. Now, again, I've got Bronwyn's permission to share these figures. In the last 40 properties, you've signed up 3 properties now, an average in total fee income, management fees, leasing fees, other fees, of 3,292. So 3,292, that's an increase of 145%. That's huge. That's more than double. That's a double and a half, of what you were doing before, which is huge. Now, again, everybody, the growth rates didn't change. All righty. People still wanted an agent they could trust. And McAdam Turnbull are a very trustworthy agent because of the strength of the expertise, particularly from the business owners who are driving the ship. They're not disconnected and just running sales and not caring about property management. It's a very strong property management agency. So for you, Bronwyn, let's talk about, and congratulations. Can you share what fees changed for you? What fees did you change?
Darren, we introduced a lease renewal fee, and we introduced a routine inspection fee. We did have some, we sort of dabbled in an end of financial year fee, but we increased that. We increased our administration fee. We added on a renovation fee and an out of normal hours duty fee, and we had a QCAT fee before, like if we have to go to tribunal, and we increased that.
So we challenged some serious Queensland fee mindsets here. The mindsets are very strong. Mindsets are, well, what's the management fee for? You shouldn't be charging these other things. We really challenged that, but well done. You're charging, again, a lease renewal fee, a routine inspection fee, they're new fees. You said that you increased your monthly admin fee, I think.
Yes.
And you also, you're doing an annual statement, and you've increased some other fees there. Well done. But also another thing that you smashed here. Now, well done. Why do you feel, from what you're doing before, why you're worth a lease renewal fee? Why that? Why did you start charging that? You obviously believed you were worth something for that service, but why?
Well, we actually sat down literally with a pen and paper and worked out the amount of hours of work from the beginning of the process right through to the end of what's actually involved. And really, we're still not charging enough if you want to look at it that way, on an hourly rate. And it's seeing the invoices come in from the mowing contractor who was charging more per hour than we were putting in those notes, and realizing, well, if the lawn mowing guy is charging that, and seeing the plumbers' invoices come in and what their hourly rate was just to walk in the door of a property, you start to think, well, we're worth more. We're professional property advisors. We've got the keys to people's financial future in our hands. We've got $50 million worth of property in that key cupboard. So we need to.
I think you probably, look, we did the numbers of that. I would say you probably got $250 million. All righty. Yeah. So you $250 million of other people's assets. You're not worth an hourly rate the same as a cleaner and all that stuff. So well done. And the lease renewal fee is also saving the owner having all the expenses of vacancy and having to pay another leasing fee and marketing fees and so forth, should a tenant leave on a non-fixed term agreement, because the non-lease renewal fee, everybody, is huge for the owner if he doesn't accept a lease renewal fee. The non-lease renewal fee, of course, we're not charging that as agents, but in the vacancy that could potentially be there in a quiet time, the releasing fee and all of that can turn into a lot more than the lease renewal fee. So it's actually an insurance policy. Okay, let's move on. The other challenge is that particularly I find very resistant, not just Queensland, but New South Wales and Victoria, very against this routine inspection fee. Now, it's really dumb thinking, because they think, well, what's the management fee for? You shouldn't be charging a routine inspection. But I could use that argument with the leasing fee they're charging separately, the marketing fee they're charging separately, the monthly admin fee they may be charging separately, and so forth. Alrighty. So why is the routine inspection fee a no-go? It's just a silly mindset. So with the routine inspection fee, now you will be the only agent in town that would be charging a routine inspection fee that I would be aware of. And despite all your competitors, the swarm of cheap agents throughout Toowoomba, Bronwyn, not charging that fee and these other fees, all righty, what happened with your owners? How much resistance did you get with new business on these fees? What happened there?
I would say, Darren, that we get more questions than resistance. They're just wanting to understand. And in charging the routine inspection fee, again, it comes back to quality for us, quality of service, because so many owners who come to us upset with the service at other agencies and us wanting us to take them on, the first thing they talk about is, oh, well, they haven't been doing inspections, because it's not been made a priority by that agency. So as they are trying to deal with the overwhelm of so many properties per portfolio to keep the show on the road, the first thing that goes is, oh, the routine inspections, nobody keeps pace with making them a priority and ensure that they happen for each property. And so we decided to charge a fee when we looked at our fee structure, but it's really not a big conversation with resistance coming. I find they ask more questions just of a general nature than are actually pushing back on me, because they're wanting the quality service. They're wanting to sleep at night and not be worrying about what we're doing with their property. And that's the main thing that they all want. Every inquiry that we get still actually wants the same thing, no matter what they're bringing us, whether they've been investors for a long time or they're first time investors. They usually want the same thing: good communication, and they just want to be able to sleep at night, not worrying about it.
I did a poll just recently, everyone, into a large property investor group, and I asked a very simple question. I did a poll. The question was, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing when it comes to selecting a property manager? Option one was, do they looking for a quality, reliable property manager? And the other option was, they want cheap or cheaper fees. And there was other options that people could add. I only gave two. Someone added, well, I want both. And then someone else added, well, I want a property manager that's good at putting up rents, which of course is quality, reliable. Someone else says, I want someone that's really good with legislation. Well, of course, that's quality and reliable. I want someone that's not going to leave after 3 months. Well, that's quality and reliable. So at the end of the day, of the 6 options that people added, all those 5 other options were to do with quality and reliable. Out of the 54 votes, 90% voted they want quality, reliable, despite the fact they could have chosen as an option cheap or cheaper fees, or they wanted both. Alrighty. So at the end of the day, people aren't wanting cheap fees. Really, really important, everyone, to understand that. And the routine inspection, my goodness, another big mindset that people have, Bronwyn, is my owners aren't going to pay that. You know, I've already, with that poll, just shown you owners don't care about cheap fees. All righty. They're wanting to be able to sleep at night. They're needing a hero. They want someone to give them peace of mind. They're looking for someone they can trust. All righty. That's what they're looking for. And with the routine inspection fee, everybody, oh, but my owners won't pay that. But hang on. So how much does it cost? I can tell you right now that if I said to you that you go and get a plumber to fix a drippy tap, how much would a drippy tap cost? Bronwyn, what would the invoice be like from your plumbers?
$120.
$120. And that's cheap. And you're in a regional town. All right. That's cheap. Other people say, well, that's $130, $150, $180, some people might say. And if your owner rang you up and argued that and upset about that, you'd probably go, that owner's got rocks in their heads. That's what plumbers charge. But if your routine inspection is less than what the plumber will charge to fix a leaky tap, why do you think your owners are going to get upset at that? It's dumb. It's wrong thinking. It's not true. And that's what I want to do in this Win Your Worth podcast series, is wrestle all this stuff. Now, I just want to let you know, if you want to know how to justify your lease renewal fee, justify your routine inspection fee, justify your annual statement fee, justify your monthly admin fee, or whatever, get my book, The PM Fee Script Secrets. It's got every way you can justify these fees, but also there's a library in the back of 34 different fees and fee packages with the different amounts that agents are charging, the minimum amounts, the maximum amounts, so you can see what fees are going on. Just go to pmfeescriptsecrets.com, or even easier, the same link will get you there at stopdiscountingfees.com. Now, we've paid for the book. All you've got to do is pay for shipping. Just go to stopdiscountingfees.com. All right, Bronwyn, let's move on with this. We're making some good progress here. So looking back now, you changed your fees. You've said your growth rates didn't change. It didn't change that. And just for everyone, your growth rates change with rent roll growth strategies and the effort that you put into them. That's what changes your growth. not your fees. All righty. I'm glad we've sorted that out. But looking back now, Bronwyn, from the old way of doing things or the old fees to your fees now, what's been the biggest change for you personally? Because you're the one that signs up the new business.
Yes, well, it's actually given me confidence, Darren, when I do talk to potential new clients. I'm not afraid, and I don't mean this arrogantly either. I'm not afraid to let them know of the quality and the worth that they get from us. And I'm not I don't hide behind our fees. I'm not afraid of that. But it's also translated into me being very particular about the new clients that we take on. And I have found that our fee structure, it's actually appeals to the quality client that we want. And so, because we will not take on properties or owners that are not quality themselves. And it's changed that mindset in me as well, just in everything, the quality of the business, knowing our numbers, exactly finger on the pulse of everything in property management, and that confidence of knowing our fees are worth it, we deliver the service that's worth it, but also knowing it brings quality owners and properties to us as well.
Yep, well done. Okay. All right. Before I finish, I just want to do a quick shout out for Tappy. Now, Tappy is an amazing maintenance system. Now, a lot of the property management softwares we're using, I'm not going to name them, they don't specialize in the maintenance side of things. Sure, you can get general management done, but you've got to remember that repairs take anywhere up to 2 hours a day of a property manager's time, could be up to 10 hours a week of time in repairs and maintenance and everything that's related to that. You want a system that's going to greatly manage that. Now, just a couple of things. Tappy have 2 functions of their service, and I'm only going to talk about 2. There's many others, and you need to get yourself a demo. Number 1 is the tenant concierge, which is a chatbot, a very intelligent chatbot that can take any query after hours the tenant may have about my electricity's cut off, and then the system will question them, or have you switched off appliances, all of those sort of things. But it's a triage of very effective ways to deal with repairs and maintenance after hours, instead of you picking up the phone and burning out. That's the problem. And that Tappy, just go and check it out, Tenant Concierge. The other thing is their property tab, which is if an owner has the expense of I mean, how much does a new hot water service cost these days, Bronwyn, to replace?
Oh, nearly $2,000.
$2,000. And do owners feel a bit of pain when they have to find $2,000?
Sure do, yes.
What are some other big ticket items that you've seen in the last year or so?
Oh, just a variety of things. There's always something going on, whether it's mainly in the bathrooms, isn't it, with plumbing, but electrical as well. It's sometimes can be never ending, but I do notice, we've got more invoices that are heading up.
Bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So guys, Tappy with Property Tab, the owners can finance this stuff over a 12-month period. So for big ticket stuff, it's going to lessen the pain, and they can get it financed through Property Tab. But look, right now, the best thing you can do is go and check it out for yourself, get the facts, look out and see how it works. Go to Tappy, tapi.com.au, and for our Kiwis, tappy.co.nz. Ask for a demonstration, because I just wish it was around when I was a property manager way back when, because I just, when I saw it, it blew me away. It's a total game changer. All right, let's move on. Now, what do you say, Bronwyn? Let's just finish this up now, but what do you say to all those out there that think they can't get better fees because, well, Darren, if I put up my fees, my rivals are just discounting and they're so cheap now, there's no way that I could do that or this, or, because they think their competitors rule what they can do with their fees. Guys, be the leader, don't be the follower. But what do you say to people like that believe that their rivals dictate what they can charge?
Totally understand where they were coming from. That used to be me, Darren. But I know, and I have proven, and I prove it every month in our revenue figures, that that it does not have to be that way. We don't have to stay in the real estate industry mindset. We live in customer service business mindset, and that is one of profitability. And Darren, we're not doing this because we intend to sit on the French Riviera all the time. We are doing this to ensure that our staff are well looked after, that the quality of property management is well looked after. And yes, I want to run a profitable business, but to everyone, just do it. Get into your numbers, get into that mindset but training, and really just be open to the discussion and learning new things, because we're constantly learning new things in property management. We're already good at that side. Just get into it, give it a go, and you'll be amazed.
So just a quick shout out, everyone. Join me in the IGT membership, where in a Win-Your-Worth Academy, I'm doing group training there, so you can be involved with once a month group training. I'm going to teach you over a year how to get better fees with new business, how to get that extra $500 to $1,000 a year per property extra. I'm teaching you all of that there. The things that Bronwyn learned to get better fees with new business, I'm going to be teaching you there. Just go to igtmembership.com, and that's the Win-Your-Worth Academy. We're also doing the Top Growth Academy as well, which is how to grow your rent roll and all these effective rent roll growth strategies that are going to get you fast growth. Alrighty, now also, what do you say the business owners out there that are still pessimistic and still don't, are still unshaken in the way of, they think that, well, if they increase my fees and my growth rates are going to slow down because they're all going to go to cheaper agents. Now, Bronwyn, you're still surrounded by a swarm of cheaper agents that are still charging much less than what you were before. Alrighty, what do you say to those people that think their growth rates are going to slow down?
But it's just not what happened to us. And to fellow business owners, you know that the industry will change. Sales goes up and down, but the property management part of the business, know those numbers and trust the process of each month as we were going through this, because it didn't happen overnight. I have to admit, I got stronger in my focus and mindset as I went along. But when you're looking at those business numbers and seeing them holding and then growing, then you realize that this is worth it. And we are running businesses, and we don't need to just have the old real estate industry hat on. We put on our small business hat, and it is definitely worth it. I'm not going to say we don't miss out on the odd appraisal, or that some of the fee increases don't get some pushback, but the quality well, I was going to say quality tenants, because we do have quality tenants too, but the quality clients that we have make it worth it. And when you're looking at the numbers and you see the revenue holding and growing, then you know that it's worth it.
So lastly, Bronwyn, what do you say to those business owners out there and BDMs and all that think that owners only care about cheap fees? What's your feedback on that?
The owners don't care about the fees if they are getting quality service, and they know that their property is in good hands, that they know that things are being attended to, they're getting good communication, and their property is being looked after. Because at the end of the day, we're enhancing capital growth, we're protecting their rental revenue. So they're seeing the value in us. They're seeing that their investment with us, which really is only a couple of cups of coffee more than plenty of the others, where they can see that. And so I'd encourage everyone, back yourself, be confident, and let's do everything we can together to increase the quality of property management in Queensland. That's the answer. That our investors need it from us, and they deserve it. So let's do that. Let's lift it all up together, and being paid what we're worth is just part of the equation.
Now, everyone, we help McAdam Turnbull with coaching. If you want me to talk to you about coaching your team, just go to book straight in my diary, getbetterfees.com. It's easy to remember, getbetterfees.com. That puts you straight in my diary. Lastly, before we go, Bronwyn, if anyone wants to reach out and have a chat, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Sure, I'm happy to talk property management and all of this kind of things all day long, Darren. Actually, so happy for them to ring us, to send me an email, whatever works. Just so passionate about improving the industry that happy to talk to people.
And you are both you and Lachlan are amazing with your experience and expertise, particularly around Queensland legislation. You guys are very, very strong on that. But just a quality agency that believes not in business, but in good business, all righty? Because there's no such thing as business, everybody. We're not, it's not business. No, it's good business or bad business. And in this journey, Bronwyn, you've learned how to reject bad business and just take on quality business. Thank you so much for your time. So thanks so much, everybody. It's a very special podcast, this one. Really appreciate your time. And Bronwyn, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Darren.